Hi guys, Roadman Investor here. So I just thought I'd jump on very quickly to make a different kind of video. I know very often I go on about how to invest and how to make returns and so on and so forth. Now, one thing you might not know is that back in 2020, this was just around the pandemic time, I was as broke as a joke, literally. I looked at my bank account, it was in negative. And to make matters worse, I got sacked from my corporate job at the time. This was a job where I worked in finance, I was making good money. And one thing led to another. Basically, I was out of a job. So what was next? I actually promised myself from that moment that I would do whatever it took to never be broke again. And since then, I've worked tirelessly. I'm talking 5 years of solid graft. And gradually, my investment grew, my income grew, I got better jobs, I started making good money again. And to be honest with you, the whole thing then amounted to making the most amount of money I've ever made in 2025. And that's a combination of income from my investments, income from my 9 to 5, so to speak, and other things I do on the side. So for the first time in my life, I actually paid 45% tax overall, so tax and national insurance, on my income in 2025. So on paper, I had the best year of my life in 2025. Bear in mind, myself included by the way, are those costs that are associated with that. There's a certain amount of loneliness that comes with working all hours of the day. There's also an element of losing yourself and detaching yourself from relationships and friendships and family and so on. My nephews and nieces, I probably saw them maybe 5-6 times last year, maybe in total. And family events, birthdays, Eids, Christmas, all sorts. Missed a big chunk of them. Why? Because I was chasing this financial freedom so vigorously. It got to a point where people just stopped inviting me to places. People just didn't bother asking because let me guess you're working, let me guess you're doing your YouTube, let me guess you got your business going. So they just didn't bother anymore. Now I got a bit of a smack in the face in 2026. This is only February and it's already been a bit of a wake-up call for me. I started reaching out to people and they weren't horrible, but it was just the sheer surprise in their faces, like, what's wrong with you? Are you not working? Like, why have you got time for us, kind of thing? And certain people who I had strong relationships with have then just said, yeah, well, I guess you're back. We'll start including you and stuff. So that led me to make this video, just to kind of put it out there really, because I know there's a lot of people. I gave myself 10 years. I said within 10 years I want people to retire. I want to have enough passive income to cover all my expenses, which means that I wouldn't have to do any active work unless I chose to in order to make money. In addition, I wanted to have a lot of backup assets, things like gold, silver, and bonds. So in case the primary source of income had some sort of problems, I'd have those to fall back on. And I've actually managed to achieve a big load of those. But what good is all that when you don't have friends or family or loved ones or even relationships, meaningful relationships that you can share them with? So that's kind of my message today. I know it's a different kind of video and I know there might be people who made similar decisions as I made to go after it. I said 10 years I'm going to have to absolutely hammer it. I probably worked on average 85 hours per week last year, and I've done so for the past 5 years. It gradually got more and more, so I probably started maybe 50-60 hours per week, and then it's just grown and grown and grown, and I'm not exaggerating, 85 hours. My own mother came to stay where I was staying at the time, and she said, you know what, I was here for a whole week and I saw you for all of maybe 4 hours the entire week. So that's what I'm talking about. That's the level of investment that I've made. But at what cost? My health. Stop going to the gym, stop eating right. Sleep is a myth at this point. Whenever I meet someone and I'm saying, okay, hi, let's go on a date, it goes well, but then it's kind of like, what's the point? I never see you anyway. So just bear all this in mind. Learn from what I did. Get to a point where you can balance it a little bit better than I did. And that's what I plan to do this year, because looking at all the bank looking at all the money in the bank, looking at all the gold and the silver and all that there, it doesn't replace the human interaction. It doesn't replace the cuddles with my nephews and my nieces. It doesn't replace saying happy birthday to my brother and my sisters to their faces, you know. So just something to put out there. I know it's a different kind of video, and I know a lot of people don't talk about this, but I thought it was quite important because I'm not a very emotional guy. I'm very stoic and I'm very logical. But I think it's important, especially for young men, because for men in particular, we don't really have a choice. You either be outstanding or basically you're nothing. That's the way that we've been brought up. That's the way we've been led to believe. And I just hope someone hears this and make slightly different choices from my mate. I don't regret making those choices. I don't regret not being in debt anymore. I don't regret having money in the bank. I don't regret having all these assets and investments. But what I do regret is not having any meaningful relationships. And that's what I aim to repair in 2026. Anyway, I'll leave that there for now. Make sure you like, subscribe, because I'm going to be at it hard on YouTube. I'm going to try to be more consistent. And now that I've got my new studio in my own house, it means I can jump on like this rather than going to the studio or having to plan ahead. I can just make videos like this. So make sure you click on that notification and share this with everyone. So Red Money Investor, thank you. And make sure you understand that I never ever take for granted you watching me and you giving me a bit of your time. Have a good day. Cheers.